Hello and welcome to an episode of The Card Show. In this week's episode, we're going to be talking about comps. And the reason we go to comps, I think I've done past episodes, we've talked about it on other episodes, we've talked about it with other people on this podcast, on other podcasts. There was a story that was sent a screenshot of. People asking my thoughts. And it was interesting, it was interesting because people have very sort of different opinions on comps and prices of cards. And again, this isn't calling anyone out. This isn't. That's why no names will be mentioned. If you've seen the post, you saw the post. If you didn't, I will go through briefly what it was about. But yeah, there was a post or a story. Basically, someone was talking about coming from a sort of business point of view, right? Saying that if you've just missed out on a card, let's say it's a to 5, for instance, and one was for sale and it was an auction, you put a bid in of 205, your best bid, and someone got it for 210. And then you see that someone has that card and maybe they've got it listed for 275. And you go, well, it's just sold for 210. I'll prepare to for this 210 for it because that's what it just sold for. Here's a screenshot of the sale 210. Just because that one has sold for 210 doesn't mean that the next one should sell for 210, right? And that's just basically the gist of the post. Just because you have a picture of a card selling at a certain price doesn't mean that the next one available is going to be that exact price, or you want to try and get it for a bit less because you want to try and beat that comps, right? I didn't want to pay 210, so I'll give you 227 though. Some sort of things, which is a very valid point, right? Especially if it's something of 5, if it's something so limited, and you've missed out on one, so now there's 4 left. And it's just so happens to see the next one. So all of a sudden you think, okay, that's 2 out of the 5. 3 might be with real collectors who don't want to ever put them up for sale. You have to sort of pay the price, right? And no, this is what the post was alluding to, that it's the cost of business, even if it's the same card, even if it is the number 3 or 5, and you missed out on it, and then the guy lists it up for 275, for instance. That's like his business, right? If he might not get 275 for it, he may get 250 for it, but then he made his £40 profit, and that's how his business keeps churning, right? So it's a very interesting point because it was, on that aspect there, it's perfect. It's how businesses, you don't want to pay that price. Unfortunately, you have to take the L. You bid once you go to 205. That's what it is. And I always say this to people, when you're bidding on cards, even if you think you can get it for a lower price, put the max price as what you're comfortable paying. So even if a card is going up for, say it's like $70, £70, or maybe whatever, and it's got a few hours left, you'll go in bed. It's late at night. You think, I'll put a max bid in at 100 just because it's nowhere near that. You went up in the morning, it's sold for 120. Is it 25? I think you got by increments. It's always like a random amount. I seem to lose out sometimes. I wind up a little bit because I sort of, I put in my max and someone wins by a little bit more. I'm like, but yeah, always put him at the max you're comfortable at. That's why I don't get too annoyed. I mean, it doesn't annoy me it's 25 cents more, it may be when they do extra. But it's the fact that if I'm willing to tap out 100, then someone wins it by like 101, kind of like, it's always, ugh. So always put the max you're willing to pay. So it doesn't mean put like 10,000, knowing that you'll get it, because that person might run it up to a couple hundred, and you might be like, God, I paid 200 for this card, sort of 300 over. But always put the max, because then even if you do lose it, at least you were happy, not going over your comfortable range. And when I say comfortable, don't forget, give yourself that little bit of leeway either side, where you go, listen, I'm comfortable paying 150 for this, but let's face it, if it goes for 152, I'm not overly forced. I'm just putting 152.50. You may find that the guy puts in a bid of 151, thinking he's smart, and then you get it for 150, and all of a sudden you go, got to put extra $1, that $1, £1 in extra. So always put a little bit of extra on if you want, but just where you're comfortable. Don't go like, I want to pay 150, but I'll be comfortable and pay put 200 in if you're not comfortable paying 200. To put that little percentage of overs just in case, just to cover yourself a little bit. Again, it doesn't have to be like 10% or anything, 5%. Just a little something where you go, if you just go for a little bit over, at least I've covered myself. If it went over that, then it was more than what I wanted to pay, so it's fine. So yeah, it's just know people are obviously going to talk about it. I mentioned that I use Market Movers. It's the one app that I find sort of very easy to use, very good interface, user interface to use. Obviously, there's one 30 point have a very good app now. They're obviously very much web based for a long time, but they've had an app for the last 6, 8 months now. That's very easy to use. eBay sold and completed items. You go on the tab, you click sold and completed, make sure it's completed, and then that'll show you comps that card. You'll see it sometimes that bring up other ones as well, but same with most search data. Sometimes if people type in wrong or the wrong card over, it comes up in there. These other ones, obviously Card Ladder, Card Hedger. There's probably more that I'm missing. Top head alt, but yeah, I'm not gonna go through all them. But there's numerous ways to look for price of cards, and I think the gist of it is just because you may myself, you may have all the maps on your phone. You may not use one, you may use all of them. It may not be Premier sort of membership on all of them, but you may have all of them. Like I have all the apps under the sun, but I mainly use Market Movers. Just easiest to use, easy one to get onto. Quick plug if you want to try a 14-day free trial, use code Mahomes. You get 20% off as well for life on any package you choose. I have tried Card Ladder, just couldn't grasp the interface. It wasn't as easy for me to get on with, like find the cards. I found Market Movers just whole easier just to go on, type the card, and do it that way. I think like it had a little click down box so you can choose the grades. It's nice and easy. Just found like the easiest. Obviously, 130 points easy. Typing the card, it brings up all the sales. I noticed a few people lately saying that data seems to be a bit here and there with certain apps because maybe eBay holding stuff back because of the partnership they got with PSA, who obviously I believe they own now Card Ladder, which is, I don't want to say it's a conflict of interest, but it's interesting. So maybe Card Ladder will change in the next 6 months, a year. I don't know. Maybe it'll be a different interface, a bit more easier to use, a bit more card data on there. It'll be more useful. But there's loads out there to use, and like I said, it doesn't matter which one you use if you're just going to think that is then biblical for the price that you should be paying for that card. And it goes both ways. Don't forget, you will look at cards, and it's what I do sort of quite well is try and get cards on the downward slide, right? When you notice that, hey, this card's going down, the last few sales are going down, and what you might see is people all of a sudden want to get out of that card because they start panicking. Hey, I've got money in this. I need to cash out now, so I've got some money back to go again, or I could really have a big loss here, and I can't really come back from that. So it does go both ways. Just because the price is the price that you see doesn't mean that the price is that price the next day, or the day after. Especially in something like sports cards, which is so volatile as well. I'll use, but it's so performance based. A lot of it. If if like that's this week, Mahomes had a bad week. Was it? Yeah, 2 touchdowns, lost Worthy, got beat. I think the rest of it was Butker, right? If I remember correctly, Butker put a lot of points on the board again. I'm pretty sure it was only Kelsey. Was it Kelsey Mahomes who got touchdowns? 15, 20, yeah, sounds about right. I'm not thinking it is right, but either way, and you may see a few more people think, oh, the Chiefs aren't the Chiefs anymore. Maybe it's time to cash out now while it's still sort of high and it's still sort of early and still people might want to invest. And we might see the Chiefs. I mean, looking at their schedule, they could go 2-4 for the first 6 games. They've got Eagles next. They could go 0-2. The Eagles. So you really could see some prices going down. People not believing in the Chiefs if they look really bad. If the Eagles stomp them out like they did in the Super Bowl, and they're up something like 20 odd zip. Was it in the first half? I don't think they got into the. Did they get a? I can't even remember if they got into the opposing half the first half in the Super Bowl. But again, if it's that bad, people really could be against the Chiefs, down on the Chiefs, down on Mahomes, and yeah, you could see some prices right down there for someone who's considered one of the goats of the sport. So there could be opportunities there to get at. at a lower price, especially if you believe in the Chiefs' future. Like if you believe that, hey, yeah, this is just a blip. After game 6, 7, Rashi Rice will be back, potentially worthy later on. We could see the offense look better when they start figuring things out. The defense obviously figure it out. Or even if you think, hey, even next year, they'll do some stuff. Next year they'll be better, sort of thing. The rookies have one more year in the system. Da, 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 da. So there's always them sort of options to sort of go in. Instead, there's always them sort of times you'll get prices where you said you'll see comps, so some of them maybe even quite high, and you may see one go real low. Doesn't mean you offer the net person, but you could sort of say, hey, listen, this is where it's going at the moment. Some people might say, no, I'm into it too much. I don't want to. Some people might be like, yeah, I've listed it for this much. Yeah, I was just seeing, and you ever to get a good deal, maybe get a bargain. You may be able to. And again, it's the same the other way around. If you see a card that's going up, unfortunately, there's probably a performance reason behind that. So you may have to pay a little bit more than last comps, a little more than last 5 or 6 comps because this is the way the card's going. I think a good one for that was the Victor Wembanyama Prism, right? That's sort of going down again now. He was one of them cars that you'd buy at 7, then it was 750, then 850, then 9. I think it was over $1,000. Now it's back down to that $700 area. And again, it's sort of creeping down. You'll see people listing it now for that sort of area, but with best offers. So you can go, hey, would you take 675, and you may get it. But it's a very important thing. I think that there's a lot of this in the hobby out about how to barter, how to approach deals, etc. And I think because a lot more people got into it, and a lot more people have. So a lot of people got into it for Gary Vee anyway, but a lot more people got into it now because of the content creators and the way they do deals. They always, want to do the best deal. I think what other people need to realize now is the people you're watching, usually own a legit business or a store sort of thing where they're having to buy it 60% of comps. It's not them being disrespectful. It's them saying, hey, as a business where I need to be at, if you can be there, it's great. If not, it's cool. So it does seem and portray like, oh, they're offering it 60%. Did we see Car Collector 2 going around to shows and he's telling straight? Yeah, he has a business. He has to pay his business tax. He has to make profit to keep the business going. This is why they have to be this sort of area. And I think we'll see that now more at UK shows. And hopefully the actual stores now, because with more stores, why you'll see it more in UK shows, because we have more stores open in UK. Hopefully we'll see more content from them doing deals, and it's sort of, I think they'll get a lot of stick for it, like I said, because people go, oh, they're just ripping people off. They'll leave that 1 or 2 people, right? They want to sort of quote unquote, slide them off, troll them, whatever. But I think just because they offer you 6% doesn't mean you have to take it, right? So it's up to that person who sold the cars at 60% to say, yeah, it's fine. They have 6% of the cash, that they may make that. Don't forget that might be profit. Don't forget, they will comp them up as of what it is, and opposite percent they could be way up from that. I'm sure, like most things, like most deals in cards, you'll be up on some, down on others. It's just the way cards go, unfortunately. But yeah, I think now we have more shops, in the UK. Hopefully, shops will do more content around this sort of stuff. That maybe people will then realize that sort of how business works, because again, a lot of people just get into this with like the spare money, right? Oh, I've got a few hundred, I'll buy into breaks, I get cars, some of them bigger, and then sell them, and they don't really understand the losses of a lot of cards, and then how important timing is. Like I think people really do underestimate in the UK, especially. I can't talk for the rest of Europe, but yeah, in the UK especially, I think they underestimate sort of timing. They underestimate like the right card and the right player. You just know it just means so much more. And again, I think it's because of our history and stickers, and obviously like the young kids having like match attacks, sort of thing, where there's not that sort of prestige on certain card sets, values. We just sort of like what we like, we want to get what we get, and that sort of thing. So it's still a lot of learning to do, a lot of growing to do. I think that's the best thing, like how the UK is growing, how it's going its own path, and not really following like the US has been doing it for years, and we've got great blueprint. With the UK, we're doing our own thing, we're doing it our way, we're doing it correct. I mean, we own you know, one of the top 5 biggest card shows in the world, in London Card Show. It's up there, the size that you can't. I don't think you can disagree. It's going to ExCeL next year. Look at the size that's going to be. Look at the amount of people that's going to be there. Big businesses that come and sponsor it. So yeah, if you ask me, it's up there, one of the biggest shows, and we're blessed to have it in the UK, right? I think now we're seeing it with obviously Scotland, Dublin, like the way the whole scene and community over here is growing and thriving. And what happens, the more these sort of things happen, the more people get into it, the more like deals that get done, the more learning that's out there for people to learn from, and the more content that people put out, the better and easier hopefully this will go. I think that's one of the things, like this ever happens to you at a show where someone's saying, this is just a shame, you have to lose your rag or be too offended by it, right? I think it's all about a learning tool. If you can teach that person, hey, listen, folks, that's not how it works. If they then get a bit disgruntled, it's fine. You just don't do the deal. Just you try to educate, you try to help, you try to grow the hobby. If they're just too stubborn, say, no, well, last one just sold for 205. I'll give you 205. And you explained it to him, and and he still don't want to just budge, then it's fine. Hey, no worries, pal. Have a good day. That's all it is, right? It's all it is. It's that easy. I don't be too worried about please every moron. So I'd say there. You can do your best, right? But yeah, that's again, that's like, I don't want to say that's it for comments, but that's like the main bit for comments. I think we don't get too caught up on that number. Don't get too caught up on the last 5 numbers. Try and get a good sort of medium range, and always be comfortable what you're paying it. Like I said, as a seller, you don't have to sell it at a price that the guy wants to buy it at, and as a buyer, you don't have to buy it at the price the seller's done at, right? If you try and negotiate, more often than not, people would sort of tell you, maybe won't tell you the number they're in for, but they might say, hey, listen, I'm into one bit more than that, so I need a bit more than that, da-da-da. And then it's up to you to be like, oh, that's right, it's fine. I could probably do this if that helped. If that's what gets the deal done. And more often than not, you probably get a good deal that way, and you probably built a good connection because that guy then appreciates that you understand his business. He made some money, da-da-da, he can go again. And you're like, hey, next time, da-da-da. And, that's where the best deals are done, trust me, because that's then not a deal for a fish. You're dealing for fisherman freshness, should I say? I don't know. To get the freshest fish. I don't really know how I was going to that reference, but you sort of get it, right? You're not just getting that one fish at one time. You'd sort of get a good deal of fisherman there, and it'll bring you the fresh fish. Yeah, I hope that makes sense to people. It did in my head. The comps. Another thing I want to touch on is because and I say we because this isn't just me. We as a podcast, that's everyone that's obviously been on the pod, everyone that listens to the pod, nominated for Podcast of the Year again at the UK and Ireland Awards on the 22nd of November at the London Olympia, to be held after the Collectors Showcase. So yeah, privileged. Obviously, last year we joined second behind Sarkard United, the Irish podcast. I don't know what's going with it. I don't really figured. I don't big follow. I know the splintered off like Atlantic Collectibles and stuff like that, or Atlantic sort of stuff. So I don't know if like one of those moved to America or something like that. I don't really know. I'm presuming the podcast still going now. I know the For the Love of Cards podcast, who was joint winners with me last year as well, was saying it, we're the best in the UK, which is cool. So to be up there again, it's cool. Extremely honoured that you guys have done that. But again, this is our podcast, so this is for you as well. Again, if like I said, if we win, I'm gonna have to take the little award to every show. And you all get a picture with it because it's your trophy as well as mine. You know what I mean? So same with last year's. It's over there somewhere on the bookshelf. There's actually a legit bookshelf where I'm putting that. Like, not only green screen one, is the legit one there as well, and it's on there with the Community Hero one from 2 years ago. But yeah, I will bring them to a show. I'm thinking you don't come to shows as much anymore, but that will change soon. I am almost where I want and need to be with everything, and I think I'll have a more free-ish time, hopefully. And house renos and personal life and everything. But yes, so I hope we'll be able to get to more shows soon. I do miss the social side. I do miss catching up with a lot of people. And again, there's always cards that you'll see there that that you won't always see online. And there's always, I said, deals and connections to be made at shows. So yeah, I have missed it. And again, it's just the experience. I want to try and hit up some European shows as well. If not this year, next year. I'm gutted I missed out the Barcelona one, as I know Barcelona, the city close to my heart. I would love to do that. I always literally stay right near where that show was as well, so I know the area very well. Yeah, I spent a lot of time there. I actually got engaged in Barcelona as well to my wife. Yeah, not to anyone else, just my wife. So yeah, so it is a lot of sentimental connections to Barcelona. It's really nice to have gone there with the family. But maybe if they have it there next year, I do know they move, don't they? I don't know if it is between Madrid and Barca, but I know they move. I know there's a show in Sevilla, which would be nice. I think any Spanish ones would be nice just because it's Spain and it's warm, right? But yeah, I want to get to more of these shows and just sort of catch the vibes and see where their sort of market's going and where they're sort of the size of their stuff. And because you never know, one of them shows could be the next sort of London card show, the next sort of breakthrough show that all of a sudden, boom, just has to go catastrophic like London did, and kind of what Scotland did, right, and what Dublin has done. They've had to go bigger, just because of the demand. I can't see any of these shows either slowing down. I can't see Scotland slowing down. I think the work up there that Jordan been doing has been phenomenal. I said never been to Dublin card show. Again, I don't know what I need to go to. I actually have family in Ireland. I'm proud Irish descendant myself, on my mum's side. Yeah, actually, do you have an emblem? Yeah, family emblem from the Irish side as well, which is interesting. But yeah, definitely want to keep up more shows like that. UK, obviously, because it's my home, so shows around here as and when. I'm blessed to have so many close in Manchester, right, as well, so it's always a bonus. But yeah, definitely hit some European ones, Norway and all that sort of stuff. And I think is it Croatia as well? Just I don't know, just to feel the vibe again. It'd be cool to do something with the lads as well. Make good content, I think kind of cool. Especially if you can get a few of us going, that'd be a good one. So yeah, definitely do that. And then America, I've never done a card show in America yet. I've done a card shops in America. I've not done a card show. Yeah, I know the boy Sports Card Scotland, Jamie, did card show and card shops. He put videos out on his channel, so make sure you check them out if you want to see. I think it's in. I want to say Tampa, Florida. I think it's in Florida. I don't know whereabouts. I don't know why I say Tampa. I don't know why, but yeah, he was in Florida. So he was visiting shops there. He was in whose video was it in? I think it's in Mama Breaks video, which is quite funny. Just see his Scottish head in the background. Yeah, it was quite funny. But yeah, he did a card show. I think it was it might have been up on a random floor in some building. But yeah, he managed to pick up some stuff, and it looked like a nice show as well. I think it was it Leighton Sports Cards? And it was a show being hosted by them. I can't remember I've not watched it for a while. When he first put it out, because I was intrigued by his trip and after he spoke. So yeah, so he's put some videos if you want to see that sort of stuff, and I think that sort of stuff, them sort of cool shows where you can mix it with a holiday and be there for holiday, then go to a show that it doesn't have to be huge. I'm already looking. I went to go to Chiefs vs Giants in New York as well, so that could have worked out well, but it doesn't seem much card show stuff going on in New York at the time. Obviously, Fanatics Fest next year is it June now? They've announced, or June, July? One of the J's, June, July. It's like round the World Cup sort of time. So I've already looked at hotel prices, and it's obviously astronomical. It would have been good. I think it's the same weekend as like Dallas and that though, which is interesting. So yeah, it's an interesting thing. I don't think Fanatics care too much about the card calendar. That's why they've done it. They care more about the event and how they can maximize eyeballs, right? So I can see this one being quite, not quite, but a bit more soccer focused, maybe, like pushed. Um, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see the influences they get over. Not a topic I want to go down today, but I'll touch on now. We're seeing a lot more of the YouTube sort of famous groups now starting to get more into the cards. We've seen obviously Randolph has his card stuff, and now we're seeing Cal Freezy, obviously Bazinga, Mini Minter. Always they were at Fanatics Fest last year. They seem to be doing more now around cards. They have Instagrams on cards now. They obviously have YouTube videos and channels on cards. So someone can presume that they're on the payroll. So they'll bring their sort of adoring fans over to that side of things. There'll be obviously other sort of football influencers that Tots pay doing stuff because it's World Cup based. I think so. You'll see a lot of push from sort of like the top sort of Fanatics UK lot, being anyone that's involved in like soccer and that sort of stuff pushed over there. Not that the Americans will care too much about most of them, but for them they're getting a nice treat to America, right? So fair play to them. What else can I say on that part? And yeah, one final thing is because things will, I said we've touched on before, there's some big changes coming, and it's kind of funny how I was only joking how it's going to shake up the industry, and it's kind of took on a bit of a bigger thing. But yeah, things will change soon. The podcast doesn't stop, unfortunately for you guys. We keep going. It may change. I'll probably still keep it on the Mondays release date, Sunday night recording. Obviously, it's NFL's back on now, so that's one of them things. They'll say recording now it's 10:05, so we're late second quarter most part. It's also our third quarter in some places. On game, so yeah, I don't mind too much about that. It's maybe changed to a new channel. Maybe a slight format change. I don't know. Not done the specifics on that part yet. But I think I'm going to keep the sort of Pat Rip stuff now only for sort of like personal stuff, personal collection stuff, and card show vlogs. I think is where I'm going to go. Sort of divide the interest a little bit. I think I was like getting too bogged down with the persona of Pat Grip, and what that stood for was a collector, someone who loved the hobby and loved the growth and wanted to share everyone's events, shops, and then sort of like the investor side and giving back to people. So so I've always said, if you make money in the hobby or not lose money in the hobby, you're more likely to stay in the hobby longer, right? If you're constantly just wasting money in a hobby because these influencers are telling you that buy into this break and we could hit this Mbappe 1 of 1, even though the Mbappe 1 of 1's like been hit, you get yourself in a hole and you end up not staying and end up having a lot of personal issues down to it. So I said, this is a hobby that I love and it's given me a lot, and it's just me giving back a little bit, right? So whether it's through knowledge or help or whatever it may be, that's what it's what I'm choosing to do. So yeah, I think I'm going to divide the two, just so I'm not so much on off switch, but just sort of I can just like go, right, this is my personal space. It's Patrick Mahomes because of Patrick Mahomes. It's going to be my personal collection, and it's mainly Chiefs. I've been sticking to Chiefs in this sort of dynasty. I touched before on the dynasty of these last 8 years, sort of like 2017. Anyone that sort of helped, but it's not always. I always have like autographs a lot of people, so I've done a lot of that. So it's just on to share a lot of stuff now. I'm thinking about doing the Man City stuff as well. I kind of think their dynasty's coming to an end. I think obviously Pep will be going in this year. I think they'll get a new manager. They'll flirt around for it, in the abyss a bit, like in the third, fourth, seconds, yeah. So yeah, I'd like to get some of those autos, even like the Tevezes and Sean Wright Phillips, Sean Goaters, like people watched as a kid, and people who, even if there is a Darren Huckabee all out there, Danny Tiatu, them sort of people. People don't know them, people. These players from back in the day of City, Mauricio Galdino. I actually have a picture of that guy. Got it from like like Clinton's, some random card shop. Yeah, I had it very reduced. I had a few quid as pocket money and I bought it. I think it may be in a loft still. I may have dashed it, but maybe in a loft. Mauricio Galdino, Jesus. No, Keith Curl. But yeah, probably not all of them. Ike Immel, Tony Coat and Jesus. Yeah, but you know, just some mainly from the last like 10, 15 years or so. But yeah, you know, the David Silvas, the Yaya Torres, the Kolarovs, the Dzekos, Balotellis. You know, nice to have some of those, you know, City kit also is what I'm going for. Same what I did with the Chiefs. I've gone a bit back to the older cards as well, like the early 2000s Chief stuff. Just because I kind of like the design. It was the bit later. So I was sort of more into NFL as a kid, so like 10ish, like Madden, really, Madden, like with my family, my cousins was my big thing. I don't know why I flirted between Chiefs because of Tony Gonzalez and obviously the whole Montana scenario. And then Packers because of Brett Favre. So he was a quarterback. He was obviously decent at the time in the game. Big arm. So yeah, they were my two teams I would switch to on Madden. But yeah, they're just more sort of early 2000s just because of the cards. I think they look really nice. You know, some of them tops, chrome refractors and stuff like that, and Bowman Finest, all sorts of stuff. So I pick up a few of them, which is nice. Then I'm potentially gonna do some Lakers stuff because of the team in basketball. I was tempted to do Knicks now because after going there and watching them, and same with the Rangers. Kind of give me a different sort of affinity for it, but yeah, we'll see. There's only so much money in the world, right? So much money and so much time. But yeah, so I'll keep Patrick Mahomes as a PC sort of thing, and hopefully get that energy back to be sharing a lot more for other people and helping grow the hobby that way. And then there'll be a new channel where the pod will be, I think. I'll be more involved around like investing, I think. So I don't think I'll keep the pod on Parker. I think it'll be a totally different thing. I'll probably just do like formatted, 10, 15-minute formatted like videos, like rants or questions. Podcast will be strictly sort of investing, looking at sports, players, sets, and the day dive will still be the same on Fridays, but again, different channel probably, and also maybe slightly different. I like doing the weekly update of what cards selling the most and what cards are down. So yeah, I might keep it that way. I might change it not completely, but differently how I've done it before, where we've looked at certain cards to find opportunities, or I might do like a whole new segment for a midweek one. So I'll like Monday, Wednesday, Friday maybe, and then on the other channel, which is more investment focused, and then Pack Rip maybe have like one long form video a week, and that's his card shows, trying to get back to card show vlogs again, and that sort of stuff. And maybe the two will collide at card shows where I do a bit of just showcasing card shows and cards there, and a bit of vendor spotlight so we can maybe chat to vendors, and then a bit of cards to pick up and sort of not challenges, but if I can pick up card at a certain price and see what we can see what we say for, why I think it should go for what I could select for in the future sort of thing. So we'll see, but that's sort of the changes. And there'll be other things around that. This is why it's taking a bit long. It's gone to a bigger project, bigger things, and more things and more things. But yeah, that is basically an update for you guys. Not that you asked for it, not you wanted it, but you've got it. As always, though, I appreciate you all as always. Hope you're well, and yeah, thanks for the nomination. Again, pat yourself on the back. You did it. You got yourself nominated. Now let's go out and win, right? So I didn't actually read it. I did repost a post. I didn't read it fully. Can't remember if it did say to like nominate, add again. I don't know if it's done now. I actually can't remember. I'm presuming it is. I don't think they did 2 nominations. I nominate then nominate to win, but we'll see. But yeah, the damage is done. We're up there. Let's see what we do. Be nice to come first. I don't follow every podcast. That's kind of hard. I do listen to a few still. It would be nice to think that we are the UK's only weekly card show. Card podcast, sorry. We are the only card show. On sports side of things. I don't know about the Pokemon side of things, to be fair. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think there's a lot more challenges this year. A lot more podcasts. So I think we may we may suffer because of that, as in may not finish as high as that because of the Pokemon side may have a higher like listing crew, but we were nominated and take pride in that. Take pride in that. Yeah. Until next time. Peace.